Hi, good morning. Both Nandini and I have completed a 3-day program on competency mapping in Maldives. In sitting in Maldives, before we catch the flight back to Bangalore, I thought I will share some of the thoughts coming out of the competency mapping program. What we normally take more than a week, I think we were able to complete the program in Maldives in 3 days because Nandini made some interesting changes in the design of this particular program. One of the changes was to get them to do a lot of exercises in the classroom. They did a role set based competency mapping for themselves in the classroom, and also they did the competency mapping for a consulting executive for whom we recorded a number of expectations from all his role set members, and the data were given to the participants and they mapped the competencies of this person. In addition, there were a lot of other exercises which were done in the class. So by the end of the third day, the Maldivian participants were all quite excited and felt very happy about the program and felt competent enough to do the competency mapping work. We are leaving with a high sense of satisfaction. At the end of the session, I have given 3 suggestions to the Maldives participants, which I would also say the same thing for the Indian participants who go through our program. First suggestion I made was, when you go back home after competency mapping, educate your teams, educate your organization or people by giving a short lecture. It can be a 10-15 minute lecture or a small video or maybe a social media post on what you have learned and what is its use and what competency mapping can do in terms of lifting up the level of efficiency of an organization. If you have competent people, you recruit competent people, you build competencies, I'm sure they will make a lot of difference in lifting up the corporation. Second suggestion I went to them was that try and see if you can start teaching competency mapping for others in a local institution and talk of its importance. Third suggestion was that if it is possible, and I think that it is possible in a country like Maldives, where I think which is a small population, if they all decide to do, they have access to a lot of schools and so on, try and see if you can introduce just one small chapter on competencies and competency mapping. Actually, I referred to them long ago, almost about 70 to 80 years back. David McClelland started analyzing the children's stories and identified the motives that cause economic development. A motive is, nowadays we take it as a competence. Add to that, I think, a lot of other things. I think there are many competencies. I think with competencies you can create an entrepreneurial culture, managerial culture and so on. So that is the reason why I think it is important to train even children in understanding the meaning of competency. What is knowledge? What is attitudes? What are qualities? What are motives? What are values? Why can't it be a part of the a school textbook so that a child, I think I'm seeing my grandchildren, my grandson in the age of 8 to 9 years old, already in 3rd standard, just graduated to the 4th standard, knowing and learning a lot about the society. I am sure he can very easily learn about competency mapping. In fact, I am reasonably certain if they go through one of my videos, they can start talking in terms of the competency language. I still remember Uday Parikh's grandson in those days, Karan Parikh, used to talk when he was 5 years old on karan@hrd.com. This was almost about 20 years back. So the children today are very intelligent and they can grasp very well. And I think we can create a totally different competency culture in our society. Unfortunately, many people think what is there in competency mapping. Competency is language. I think new language we are constantly forming. Years ago, we didn't know what is BSC, Balanced Scorecard. But today, everyone talks about balanced scorecard as a strategy. Or we don't know about the three-box theory of Govindarajan. Now everyone talks about three-box strategy for improving organizations. So the language is a way of thinking. Language is a way of strategizing. Language is a way of building efficiencies in organizations. So friends, I think competencies, identifying competencies required to do a job, required to run a function effectively, required to make an organization effective, can go a long way in lifting up the organization. I think it is important to promote the language and culture that we like to see around. So if we can do that, I think we can change the nature of our society, nature of our organizations, nature of our function. That is the reason why Dave Ulrich and team and many others have been working for last 30 to 40 years identifying competencies of HR profession. Why have we limited this only to HR profession? Why don't we do it for all, for schools, for colleges, universities, hospitals, nurses, doctors, civil societies, government servants, politicians? I think if we start identifying and talking about the knowledge, attitudes, values, motives, self-concept, qualities required to make the society a better society, organization a better organization, country a better country, I'm sure we can go a long way. So I think competency mapping is not just a technique. Competency mapping is a process. Competency mapping is a way of creating the right kind of a culture in an organization as well as a country, and building the right kind of values among the children for creating a better future and better society. So I hope many of you will learn small things. They are not. It's not a very technical kind of a thing. 30 years ago, I think competency was technical, technology. But I think today we know it's a very simple process of identifying knowledge, attitude, skills, motives, values, traits, and self-management concept that is required to make a difference in your job and make a difference in the lives of others. So thank you very much. This is a small contribution I am making as I am leaving this lovely country, Maldives, back to India. Thank you for watching this video. Thanks from TVRLS.